Welcome back. The standoff between Gauteng's forensic pathology officers and the provincial health department continues. Talks between Nehawu and the authorities are set to resume on Thursday. Now, forensic pathology officers say for years they've been doing out-of-scope work, which includes dissecting bodies. On the line now, we have the head of UCT's Forensic Pathology and Toxicology Unit, Professor Lorna Martin. Professor, thank you so much for making the time to speak to us. You've heard there from our latest on the story. We also have heard from unions saying that their workers are not on strike. They are merely just doing the work that their job description says. In your experience, do you believe that pathology officers and their assistants are expected to do more than what their job description says?
Yes, hi, thank you. Good afternoon, Marcel. No, in my experience, they're not expected to do more than what they have been employed to do via their contracts, as well as what is written into their job descriptions.
Do you then believe that we have enough pathology officers and assistant pathology officers working in the system to keep up with their big workload? Because that is also one of the complaints we are hearing from those on the so-called go slow.
Look, I think nationally we definitely have a shortage of both forensic pathologists who do the investigation of unnatural death, which therefore is the autopsy process, as well as forensic pathology officers who assist us in that medico-legal investigation of unnatural death process.
Now, the work being done between death and a body being laid to rest is often unseen. It's one of those many things that general society doesn't talk to us. Talk about. Talk to us about why the work done by pathologists are so important. What is your experience in teaching that to students on a day-to-day basis?
Well, look, I mean, what we do forms part of, we work under several mandates in terms of acts, the Inquest Act and the Criminal Procedure Act. And what we do is to investigate any death that could be deemed to be an unnatural death, from the moment that the body is discovered until we hand it over to the family at our facilities, but then thereafter through to the court case, whether that's an inquest case or whether that is a criminal trial conducted by the Directorate of Public Prosecutions. So it's a very long process. It's a very intense process. It's a very onerous process and needs to be done very diligently, professionally, collection of evidence, etc., etc. So there is a lot, as you've just mentioned, that goes unseen by the public that we do in terms of our mandate to ensure that we process each case as properly as we can and present evidence to whichever court it is that we're going to present the evidence to, on behalf of the family, on behalf of general society.
Now, the Gauteng Health Department has come in for quite a bit of criticism for not nipping this go slow in the bud. What are the repercussions if this strike, by any other name, is allowed to continue for too long?
Well, the repercussions are at some point, all of the cases that haven't yet been processed, they cannot be released back to families. So they will have to wait until the issue is resolved so that the forensic pathologists as well as the forensic pathology officers can get back and start processing the cases as they would ordinarily do so. Unfortunately, what may happen in that event is the longer that you delay the processing of said case, i.e. the full autopsy process with all of the special investigations that we may want to be doing to uncover the truth for each and every case, may get lost in the storage process, in the excuse me, evidence, especially biological evidence, doesn't stay there forever. It needs to be collected and properly stored and properly processed so that we could have a finding from that. So apart from the heartache for the members of family who have lost somebody and whose body is not being released, which is clearly the most obvious, issue that's being presented when cases are not being processed, it may have quite severe ramifications on the criminal justice process.
One more question before we let you go, and this is more to do with you being with the University of Cape Town as the head of forensic pathology and toxicology. Many ordinary people would say that maybe this is not a field that would appeal as a career. In your experience, are students lining up to become pathologists, and are they finding employment after they've qualified?
So I wouldn't say they're lining up, but I would say that we have been encouraged in the past 5 years or so that we've had more inquiries, and we have been able to appoint registrars to become specialists in our profession. Unfortunately, at the moment, we are very few in the country. There's only about 60 of us registered at the Health Professions Council. And the only place for us to be an employee is in state employees. So the reality of the matter is that we would actually have to have an expansion of the forensic pathology service in each and every province in terms of expanding for forensic pathologists to be able to offer those persons who would want to come into training once they've been qualified to be able to offer them a job, because it's not really possible to sustain yourself in private practice as a forensic pathologist in this country.
We'll leave it there. That is UCT Head of Forensic Pathology and Toxicology, Professor Lorna Martin, joining us live there. Thank you so much for your time. Fascinating fact there. Only 60 registered pathologists with South Africa's Health Professions Council.